Hey, today we have a special episode of the Ruckus Cast. So excited because Jessica Levine joins us, right? So if you watch this sort of special segment of the Ruckus Cast, the Adorable Red Hats, number one, write to hello@adorableredhats.com and then come and just talk about how you're doing school different. That's what Jessica did. And we just had such a blast talking about her. You're going to love, and a way that they had to re-envision education during COVID, where there was no instruction, no new instruction on Wednesdays. And some she's been able to carry on throughout the year since COVID has passed, and the benefits of doing that within her classroom. So she's going to introduce this concept of ABCDE Days, and you're going to love that. And then Mitch and I, we riff on some stuff around life, but we also get to taking care of health. And then most importantly, does every student on your campus have a caring adult, right, on that same campus, a connection that's there? It's so integral. And we get into that topic as well. So you're going to love the show. Hey, I'm Danny. If this is your first time listening, this is Better Leaders, Better Schools, the original Ruckus Cast for innovative school leaders who want to do school different. That means reimagining this project called school, even within a traditional setting, so that you create a campus experience worth showing up for. Because of Ruckus Makers just like you, this pod ranks in the top 1% of nearly every show, nearly 4 million podcasts in the world. That's because you press play and you are engaged and, hanging out, leaving comments, writing in. It's been an amazing ride over the last 10 years. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I have so much gratitude for you paying attention and engaging with this content. We'll be back with the main episode just after a message from our show sponsors. Still scrambling for supplies like it's 1999? ODP Business Solutions streamlines everything from pencils to projectors so you can focus on what matters, making an impact. Visit odpbusiness.com/education to learn more. That's odpbusiness.com/education. Today's episode of Better Leaders, Better Schools is brought to you by Play Piper. The innovators of tomorrow are sitting in classrooms today, but only if we give them the right tools. Piper's STEM kits connect kids' love of gaming with real-world coding and engineering, turning curiosity into career-ready skills. Keep your students engaged and inspired. Learn more at playpiper.com. That's playpiper.com. IXL is a go-to support for classroom teachers because its adaptive platform makes differentiated instruction easy. See for yourself and get started today at ixl.com/leaders. That's ixl.com/leaders. How do you pronounce your last name, Jessica? I didn't catch that.
Levine, Mean Green Levine Machine, Bicycle Queen.
Wow. All right. Levine it is. And you reached out. You wrote into hello at the adorableredhats.com. And you want to talk about these ABCDE days. I have the graphic up too. So if you want me to show it, just let me know.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, that's fine. It's I was excited because this idea of like ruckus making, shifting things up, it's really this missed opportunity from the pandemic. We've gone back to what people think is normal, and school has never been normal, and it's not normal for middle schoolers, of course. So we adopted, where I sort of created something that came out of the pandemic teaching, which was we had no new instruction on Wednesdays. And so how could I bring no new instruction on Wednesdays back into the classroom when we were going again? And so Wednesdays are our early release days, so it's a little bit shorter in the schedule. So how could we just think about our work week from teachers from Wednesday to Wednesday instead of Monday to Friday? So how does that give us our weekends back? How do we use and structure time a little bit differently in the classroom, but also for teachers? And so I created this ABCDE day as a sort of protocol on Wednesdays where there was no new instruction. And so I love acronyms. I love gimmicks, and it works really well with sixth graders. So A is an assessment, and it's just a weekly notebook quiz, essentially. How am I checking in on kids on content? B is a social emotional learning question. How are you being? Because of course, children are more than just science students. They are whole people. And so we just ask them, give them this form and a question. It's often related to something that we're doing in class, and they just are free form, able to type and share who they are and what's going on. A C is a career and cultural connection that I provide to the content. It gives us an opportunity to see what's going on there. D, we've expended a lot. It's either to dig into some data, it's to do an anatomical drawing or draw the moon phases, or maybe it's to do work that you have not completed. It's just time for that. And then E is explore and extend. And what this has created for us is this real like UDL experience where there's a lot of student choice. And I think what I really like about it is that it's enabled me to live my values as an educator, right? I believe learning is inherently interesting, and I believe that children are inherently interested in the world. And so if I provided a structure and a space for them to do that, could they take that on and be independent learners in that space and be responsible for their own sort of growth and development as they move through this ABCD situation? And sixth grade, of course, is this total sweet spot because they're like beginning their own learning journey, right? They have wildly diverse interests, but they can still follow a protocol. And then I think all pun intended to the letter, right? They can do this ABCD and stay on task kind of thing. And that's really been fun. So I think it's allowed me to like shake things up, and I like it that way. But I think it's also kids really like it because they make their own learning happen in that space and they're responsible for their stuff. And I think like the B question, like the social emotional, I'll talk about just for a minute, is that there had been like prior to the pandemic, not really an opportunity or a window for me as a science teacher to learn about the whole child in a systemic way. Like I could have conversations with kids, but this gets stuff really personal and it gets students to give me like information directly. So I can find out like who lives with their grandma when they're telling me about what their favorite protein or starch is. I can find out what kind of siblings are happening. I can find out what is burdening them or what is weighing heavy on their mind. One question I asked, after we'd learned about mass and volume, I said, well, what takes up space in your life? Right. And kids are just saying, soccer and this and that. Or this is heavy on my mind, or I have new puppies and it's busy. And that's just this really cool entry into building the relationships with kids. That is super important in middle school, but I think in general. And so that's just like that. That's the essence of it. I've been fascinated by the connection too between like a 40 or 4-day work week that's been proposed in other places, or Google's like 20% time. And I think for middle schoolers, this is not quite a genius hour because they need a lot more hand holding and they do need that rigid structure. But I think this could work in high school level in this format where the D and the E become a genius hour where they're working on their own topics or their own things that are connected. Yeah. So that's what we've done. That's what we've done to shake things up here in our large public middle school.
Yeah. Making a ruckus, doing school different.
Yeah.
And did this start in your class and now you're like your department, your whole school? Tell us, give us some context.
Yeah, that's a great question, Mitch. Yeah, it's sort of my creation. And then it's now been done by the whole 6th grade science program. It's not unlike something that had been done years ago with the 6th grade math teacher. He had sort of a catch up and relish day. And so great slogan, of course, like kids who needed catch up could do that and then could relish in some new activities. But yeah, so right now it's just 6th grade science. Other folks have thought it gets, because you don't have new instruction, it like puts them behind. But I think that the value of it is more important for me. And we've kept that in the 6th grade science team. So we're 2 6th grade science teachers, each carrying like about 165 students. So it's 10 sections of 6th grade science in our building. Yeah.
How has it like influenced your team collaboration, the 6th grade science team?
We've always been super tight team, and that's been ridiculously rewarding, where we divide and conquer and have a lot of that. So it allows us, both because we're super interested in the science that we teach to pull resources and then put them in those E days. Oh, hey, here's a great TED Ed video we got. Here's a New York Times article. Here's some Science Friday thing that we have. So we're constantly sort of populating our extension opportunities, right? Because as a team, we have way more curriculum and interest than we can deliver. But the ABCDE Days give us a place to drop that for students who might be interested in extended. And certainly the time gives us a chance to catch up students who have not gotten the content before, either because they were absent or we need reteaching or pre-teaching. It's giving us a lot of flexibility. So we can go back and teach stuff to kids who've been out, and then kids who are ahead, we can actually like seed new ideas for what's coming so that they can make those connections naturally in the course of the unit. Yeah. So just
Very
us
cool.
now. The principal has been likes the concept, but can't get us, it's not a school-wide situation. Right. And maybe that's good because there's some novelty in my class. There is that comfort and routine that kids have in that space. I think if the whole school was doing it, it might feel different, but I think if I was in a different school situation, it could be that genius hour, or it could be more project-based learning that happens on Wednesdays if it was adopted differently.
I know Mitch is a big fan of routine, so that's speaking his love language there.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I mean, in 6th grade, I realized that so much of what I teach, it's not I don't teach content anymore because it's ubiquitous. It's out there. You want to watch a YouTube video or TED Ed on the respiratory system, go for it. Right.
Say more about that, because I don't think so many educators don't understand what you just said. It's a very important point.
Content is ubiquitous. It's out there, and it's certainly in the realm of middle school science, the content is clear. And so we're not teaching new science concepts to students. We're teaching them how to stay organized, how to learn, and how their brain works so that they can continue to learn. And hopefully in the realm of science education, they can develop new questions and new ideas. But that's actually life. So that's all learning. Yeah. It's not science. I'm just fortunate that I teach the science of learning, and I get to get away with that because I'm this 6th grade science educator. But routines and executive function and organization, is so important. Then as I was telling you, Danny, I adapted some of the words I got from Mitch's workshop of things I was always doing, but now we have names for it. I'm all right, we're going to get organized. We always titled and dated our notebook page, but now we get organized, right? And so thanks so much for that.
Yeah, no problem. That's what, when you were just giving the intro of the ABCDE, and then weaving in kind of a part of that being inquiry. Yeah. On the students, inquiry without structure doesn't work either. Yes. I mean, in particular in 6th grade, right?
Right, for sure. And
so the fact that you have that and places for you to check in with students, so it's not just the Wild West. Hey, what are you interested in? Go and cut them loose on the internet to inquiry. The fact that you have that structures important.
And it's curated, right? So we pick the topics, but I'll give them a whole set of links, right, to say here are some of the things I've pulled and curated for you around these topics. If you've got something else, check in with me. And there's always choice in the D&E section. So there might be a data dig, right? So I'll provide a graph and ask students to do the I Notice, Think, and Wonder protocol. What do you notice about, the amount of protein that's plant-based on this continent? What do you wonder about this graph? What does it make you think? So that's a choice. Or also drawing the digestive system is a choice, right? And so you can watch an animated video and do that. So in the course of that day, I can walk around the room. Some struggling students are still on their assessment. Some advanced students are diagramming and drawing or digging into the data or got their headphones on and are watching a couple TED Eds about other things, right? And in the career space is important too, because I don't know which of my students are going to become farmers or nutritionists or policy advocates for, reduction of red dyes in foods, for example, during our metabolism unit. But I know all of those careers are important in the world. And so the more access my students have to them, they could be the ones who do that, right?
One of my follow-up questions, just looking at the being and, you're checking in with your students. I'm just curious, using this ABCDE in your 6th grade science class, what have you noticed in terms of changes within you, right, as an instructor, and then changes just in your students when you started to implement this consistently?
That's a great one. One of the things I do is try to read their responses in real time. And I try to give out 5 note cards to students each week. And so if I read that they're struggling or they're worried about soccer, I'll give them a pep talk. or if a cat just died, I will say, I'm sorry for your loss. And I'll drop those notes on their desk while they're working. It's totally a silent class time for the most part. They're only talking with adults in the room. But that's changed a ton. I can also like see the assessment pieces. And so kids who they can have 2 opportunities. So kids who struggle and then succeed in the second round or have seen a lot of growth, I'll drop notes that says, rock star, or you got 100% the first time. And so it's just this little like bonding moment where like I see them and I let them know that I'm seeing you, not just as a student and as a scholar and as a scientist, but like as a human. Like, good luck with your band audition, or good luck at the musical this weekend, or, what are you looking forward to? Oh, wow. Can I have your grandma's recipe? Or can you tell me how to pronounce that? Because I don't know what that dish is, but it sounds like it's full of starch, right? So making those connections with the content, I've gotten recipes from kids, and I think it's changed my attitude, certainly post-pandemic in general. Like, I'm just happy kids are here. Thank you for showing up. Glad you're here. I hope you'll choose one of these activities today. Like, I hope you'll move through the list and know that I value you and I value learning. And I hope that you'll walk away out of my class at the end of the year, like seeing that is possible.
What an environment, right, Mitch? Like, I'd want to learn
You're on the
there,
brain hack. I want to take it off and we're overheating. but like that we literally have to put our thinking caps on here, we're not, you can't cut corners, but there is structure for you to find your in to this learning endeavor, right? So
that intangible stuff is so amazing. Let me get this out real quick, because I can't remember if it might have been Taos. You might remember, Mitch, like when we started this Red Hat thing, but one of our live events, I promised that I would give away my mom's like world famous French toast recipe, right? And I don't know that was a draw to the event. Like, oh, I'm going because I want the French toast recipe, but I delivered on that promise. And my buddy Demetrius, he's made that for his staff and he's made it for his family. And I do know his own children like request it now, like consistently. And that just tickles me so much. And I put him in touch, I think, with my mom too, so she could find out like, hey, there's this guy that, my son works with me. And, Demetrius is out there cooking that French toast. It was such a cool connection, and a moment for her too, to see like, oh, that's really neat. I never would have anticipated that. Right. So, Mitch, did you have a question too?
Chicago French toast in Northern California. Who would have thought?
Right. Well, I find out my students have moved to the country. They're like, oh, in my country, or when I visit my grandma I'm like, oh, there it all is. Right. So, go ahead, Mitch.
Well, it's just, Jessica, it all just sounds like Danny said, like, what a place to, I'm just thinking back to my 6th grade, and I don't remember it, Nick. I have fond memories of being in 6th grade, but I don't remember anything like that kind of engagement. But most important, I think what you've shared is you're creating learning environments where those kids are known. Yeah. And I'm just like more and more and more convinced that if young people don't feel known and cared for, like, oh man, tell me about that recipe or what.
Yeah.
That's saying like, I read what you wrote or shared, however they're sharing it.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm making a point to follow back up just because one, I imagine a lot of times you are interested, like, how do you pronounce that? Like, but it's a point of connection for young people. And Danny and I have a mutual friend, another Danny, gentleman named Danny Steele, who's a school leader for many years. And he just shared in an email yesterday I was reading that he had saw a post on social media about kids being known and about the idea of asking anonymously every student on campus. Maybe it wasn't anonymously, like just real quick on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
They paused and had the whole school do it, right? One person that you trust that you could go to if you needed somebody on campus. It could be anybody, one caring adult.
Yeah.
And then they collected all those and met them. And of the, I think it was 500, I don't know how many kids, but 37, I remember that, kids said, and they said, if you don't have anybody, say nobody.
Yeah.
And they talked about that there was 37 kids on campus that didn't feel known.
Yeah.
Which is, that's problematic. Crazy. And the fact that you're building that into your content area instruction, that's powerful.
And I think that's really like the purpose of them in the ABCs. Like it functions well for educators. I get charting time like doctors get, right? Like I can see in real time whom I need to retake a quiz. I can offer an opportunity for that. I can do some re-instruction. I can talk about strategies. In the meantime, right, I can push kids further who need to go further, who are, excelling in the content. But it works for both students and for teachers because it's a win-win, I think. And it took this Wednesday, no new instruction in the pandemic to shake things up. And that's what we're keep going here. So that's what we're doing.
Hey, well, we love it. I know you hit a hard stop. And so
I just got them banging on the door.
I hear them. I hear
in the
them.
background.
Yeah, she's got to run. But Jessica, thank you.
Thank
you for joining us. This was
and writing
lovely.
in.
Thank you guys both so much. Keep
Stay in
doing things
touch.
and keep getting in good kind of trouble. So
hey, that's what we do.
That's easy.
So,
sounds great.
Again.
Thank you both again.
Right.
Cheers.
Nice.
Yep.
Thanks, Jessica.
See ya. That was cool. And adorable red hats, right into hello at adorableredhats.com. Come join us. So
it's
really
hello at adorableredhats.com, right?
Yeah, I think so. If not, it's just gonna get bounced back and then figure it out from there.
Go to adorableredhats.com and there's got to be an email link there, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm 99.9% sure it's hello at Adorable Red Hats. But write in. We want you to be on the show. We're not like, why would we say that if we were joking, right?
Yeah.
And it's
Jessica, thank you again for taking us up on that. That's
so good. Yeah.
Super cool.
I'm also really curious because it's Riverside, and like the things like upload to the cloud and stuff. I hope we get the recording. We'll find out as you and I hit stop, right? And it processes. I don't know.
Oh, with
we
her
might have
dropping
lost.
off.
Yeah.
We'll have her back.
No. Well, I have to have her back, right?
Repeat.
That was a dry run, practice run. So, were you like 6 inches deep in your nose and you broke your finger, or what happened?
Yeah. This has been broke since October. Finally went
fishing for boogers.
Yes. Yeah. No. My days of playing goalkeeper at my daughter's soccer practice are now officially over.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Like they ripped one that hard.
I've been coaching the team since they were 5. And I was joking with the doctor. I'm like, yeah, but they're U19 now. Some of those girls can kick. And, it was one of those things, October, not end of the season, but getting closer. So it's dark almost by the time practice is over.
Okay.
And they were finishing up with some long shots. And I was like, I'll jump in and play keeper.
Yeah.
Broke it. And I knew it.
Oh, my gosh.
So I finally went in a month and a half later. I got an x-ray. And like the next day, the orthopedic surgeon called. He was like, you need to come in. So basically, this is my own creation. It's a paint stick. But I can't bend my finger for 2 months. He said, you cannot bend it. 'Cause I broke it in a way that the bone will never heal back, but scar tissue will heal around it. But the tendon, my finger was hanging down like that.
That's this. Can you see my pinky?
Yeah. You have the same thing.
But I never put a splint on it.
That'll be me. We'll see. I'm about a week in. I'm not sure I'm going to make it 2 months.
Yeah, I'm pretty... I never went to a doctor. I didn't even know I did it. Like, I used to play a lot of basketball, right? And you go for rebounds and stuff, and you just jam fingers.
Yeah, that's what I thought I did. Just jammed it.
I think that's what happened. And then fast forward 10 years, and I'm just like looking at my finger. I'm like, it doesn't go straight anymore. Like,
yeah.
And I've been thinking, like, can I go to a hand doctor and they'll make it like do that again? But it's like,
I don't think it's
at this point, just take it to the grave, right?
Yeah, that's just going to be part of it.
I
was talking to our mutual friend, TJ, about that. He's like, I have a friend that did that. They told him the exact same thing. He was being very sweet. He's lamenting the fact that I have to wear this for 2 months. And he's like, my friend just gave up and was like, yeah, my finger can hang down. I don't care. Problem is, mine's still like really broken and like swollen, so I might as well just keep this on there. But lesson learned. Should have gone into the doctor right away, because that would have been 2 months through it. Instead, I waited, and here we are.
So that's our public service announcement. Take care of yourself, school leaders. right? Because we're joking about fingers, and what we waited too long to get help for isn't high stakes, but there's a lot of leaders who have real stuff going on, right, internally, and stuff that's a big deal, especially if they don't get it checked out. So I'll just ask you. You don't have to answer if you don't want to, but do you go to get an annual annual checkup with your doctor?
Yeah. Whenever they call me in, I don't know if it's annual, just based on age yet, but yeah, if I ever, I don't avoid them. That's for sure.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't know they had to call you in. So here, I mean, every time I establish a relationship with my primary care physician here in New York, and so we just put it on the calendar every year just to check it, check out, and you're doing all right and that kind of thing. So
yeah, I agree
catches
with
me
you.
up about her dog and how her kids are doing, and she like say, "Oh, you've gained weight" or whatever. She'll say stuff like that, and okay, thanks, but I'm not dead.
Not this coming year, 'cause you've been going to the
I've been
gym.
working out
She's gonna
crazy.
be like, yeah, you've been consistent.
Yeah, she might
But there's
say, "Hey."
there's something to be said for that. One of the things I've taken away from a lot of your work is the idea that there is kind of this false badge of honor in leadership, but in education in general, where I'm living fairly unhealthy. Like I don't have time. I just didn't have time to eat lunch, or
all that crap.
I'm replying to email at midnight, or I'm doing things, and it's. I think it's well intentioned, but it's like, no, you're lacking systems and priorities. And
well, you're not prioritizing yourself. You don't care enough about your own stuff, your health. And I don't know. I mean, like, I'm still on this journey. We want to have children and that kind of thing. So I know, like, if I'm not healthy, like, I am not going to be around as the kids get older, right? And I think we'll figure it out. The kids will get here. And so I'm going to be an older dad. I need to be healthy. And even if I didn't, with kids or whatever, I want to be around. I don't want to like exit early just because, whatever, just enjoying this or that too much or not taking care of myself. But it's certainly not a badge of honor. Like that is a reframe I've tried to do is like, take care of yourself. You're worth it.
If you are in a position of leadership, and I think teachers as leaders, I mean, there's kids in the room, you're messaging, there's a message going out about.
Well, play the worst case scenario. I'm sure this has happened, but I don't know if it's happened recently or whatever. But I'm sure there's been a teacher that hasn't taken care of themselves that's keeled over and like died in front of their kids. That's had to have happened, don't you think?
I don't know. I hope not. In front of the kids?
Yeah, just like, hey, and this is why adverbs are so important. But wait, adjectives are important.
Oh, you're such a kook. By the way,
that was just a bit. I didn't really die.
I know. Your background's different today. I can see snow. I moved
my desk. You've been in Ruckus Maker HQ.
I have.
You know how the desk was facing the door?
Yeah.
Now it's facing the closet.
Oh, man.
Okay, so I rearranged some stuff. It's really opened up a lot of space. And so the background is a different side. This never was there. What was over there was that if you remember the kid who had the big boxing gloves, the Ruckus Maker that I commissioned my student to paint. And as I'm getting into improv in 2026, I'm going to be doing stand-up. So I'm going to be writing my jokes up there and putting them. So as I'm thinking through sets and stuff, I can move things around and see what's going on. So
very cool.
Yeah, new background. Pulled that out of the closet, like the white cabinet. Yeah. But because people are always like, why are these two just always like shooting the breeze is the nice way to say it, right? Like, why don't they talk more about UDL?
Well, you talk about UDL.
Here's the leadership lesson. I pulled everything out of the office. There's no books in here. Books will come back. I took everything out of the closet.
My first book's not in there anymore?
Huh? Your first book, Executive Functions, Classrooms, Grades 3 through 12.
It's not in there anymore?
There's not even... Before you take an ego hit,
I'm going to
put on your stupid scarf. Okay, just so you... wipe the tear with your broken finger. But even my books aren't in here. This was before you so rudely interrupted me. The leadership lesson I was trying to teach. Yeah, thank you for owning that. Is that, our lives, our minds, this is a metaphor for our minds and our focus, it gets cluttered. And so I took everything out of the closet, everything off the walls, everything off the bookshelf. The only thing that stayed in here was literally my desk because it's so big. And then I brought the bookshelf, my chair, everything back in. And still, I haven't brought, the books are all in the room you slept in, the guest room. All the other stuff is in there. And I'm being very intentional. Do I want this in here or not? Right? Like, do I love this thing? It's kind of like Marie Kondo-ish, or however you pronounce her name. And then kind of also Ruckus Maker, because, that's me. But yeah. So declutter, right? Like, think about what do you want to keep around, in your head, in your office, in your family, maybe one of the kids, you don't want them around. That's right. Give them one. Send them my way. I want to raise them. So I saw the cover came out. That's cool.
Yeah, thanks, man. And it's funny. You write a whole book with, co-author a whole book, which is, at least for me, the first time I've done that. And that was a whole journey in figuring out and finding our rhythm and everything. And then getting to the cover, I couldn't believe how long it took to land on the cover. You can't imagine how many versions of an apple you can have on the cover of a book before you find the right apple for both of us.
Yeah.
But I like it. I gotta say, we went round and round, and it was, of course, just fun, creative process. But then Corwin weighs in, and there's certain colors that are more accessible, and it was an interesting process. But I'm happy with the cover. We're in our final little pass through. In fact, we're going to meet this afternoon, and then a couple little tiny things we'll change to the manuscript, then off it goes. So
right. Tell me the co-author's name again.
Dr. Sarah Oberly.
Oh, it's Oberly. That's why I wasn't finding her. I want to see if I could find the cover, pull it up for people too, so they can see that really quick. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, here we go.
Did you find it? Did I send it to you?
Yeah, man. No, you didn't. You don't care. You barely even called recently. So. here's the cover.
Oh, that is on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it looks nice. And you like the apple?
Well, no, the thing, like, you guys haven't hired me yet for like book promotion, and I could have saved you a lot of pain and trouble because the apple is not going to sell any books. So if you were obsessing over that was a lot of energy.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
But the green on the apple is a nod to the green of the first book.
Of Organized Binder? Was that you? Like, until she added the green?
No, Sarah came up with that. She's like, I like the apple having the same green, which I do.
So, and I'm just going to keep making fun of you because that's part of, like, the point of the show. But, like, and I love that what's important, like, I'm going to speak in a paradox here. Because one, it does matter that you care about this, right? Like that matters, that this apple is like deeply meaningful to you, But at the end of the day, like the funny thing is you being the leader in this like metaphor, right? Or the author, like you care about that little detail. But honestly, right? This is something your staff, the readers, nobody cares. Zero. Because like that's a thing that leaders, authors, speakers, anything that you're putting a message out there, all people want to know is what's in it for me, right? Mm-hmm. What's in it for me? And the apple doesn't necessarily communicate that. Now, promoting self-regulation for a strong start. Ooh, okay, I'd like that. Ooh, I'm a first grade teacher, and this is for every K-3 classroom. Okay, now you have my attention. So.
Yeah, I think cool. You're totally right, 100%. And I do think the subtitle in particular, I think it's going to grab the K-3 teachers who are living in that reality, this idea of executive functions. Almost like that subtitle is stating like the goal of what you'll learn about in this book is core executive functions, working memory, inhibition, and cognitive flexibility. It's all about promoting self-regulation in the younger years, which is different than my first book, which is higher order executive functions, which are these like behaviors you're looking for. What's it look like to get and stay organized and manage your time, and like much more like independent learner kind of things in a first grade classroom. That's not necessarily, they're both interrelated, but I think that self-regulation piece will grab people. So I'm excited, man. I'm really excited for this one to get out there.
Yeah. No, you should be. It's great work. I know people love the first book, and people are going to love this one too. And you're going to be able to help a lot of schools, a lot of students, a lot of teachers. Look at Corwin with their little rebrand and new logos. So shout out to Corwin that did the mastermind book with me. So they're trying to get a little facelift, I guess, there. I'm surprised that they allowed the lower E, lower F on the title. Little ballsy. That's some ballsy action there.
We've already had some feedback. I think probably posted on this. One of the Sarah or I, when we shared it on LinkedIn, someone was there tongue in cheek, like they were like, oh, but it was like a primary teacher who specifically focused on writing or something. Can you please capitalize the E and the F? And Sarah's like, no, that was on purpose.
Yeah.
So,
no, totally.
Yeah, we're going out on a limb, man, with Coral.
Big time. So no, but that's cool. I can't wait. When is it? Did you say when it comes out?
March 2026. We're speaking. I'm really excited. Sarah and I were invited to speak at Learning in the Brain in New York City in April.
Is that like different than Learning in the Foot, or?
Yeah, a little bit different. That's the following week. This is a pretty, it'll be fun, like science and learning, obviously, community. But it gave us a deadline, which was kind of nice because we were thinking early 2026, but then it was able for Corwin to say, well, if we want it in the real world, physical books by that time to have at the bookstore at the conference, and we could just benchmark our timeline all the way back to, when we started writing. So it'll be fun. It'll come out in March and then start taking it on the road.
Foot was not my first choice. No, I was.
That's good. I'm glad you went with Foot. I know.
Mindfulness training helps with that because there's a steady stream of inappropriate that is like always constant 24/7 flowing through my brain.
For you, is that why you did your silent retreat and your mindfulness work? So that you could be more appropriate on your podcast?
I've never really unleashed the full Danny on the show because I know that some people listen to this like with their kids around. And so this show would be dramatically different.
I know the full Danny. Trust me.
He's pretty awesome. He's fun to be around. Realistically, I don't know if you have anything to add to this. Don't they say like your stomach is your second brain? Have you ever heard that? No? No. Then never mind. This won't go anywhere. I could
think of like the analogy, I guess, is like, but I'm not.
Let's ask AI. Your second brain. It comes up in Google. Yes, your gut is often called your second brain because it contains the enteric nervous system, a vast network of 100 million neurons that controls digestion independently and communicates constantly with your central brain via the vagus nerve. It's always the vagus nerve. Influencing mood. Yeah, it's like that. And for people, like that has to do with like stress. Like I think vagus nerve, like and being able to release it, right? So that kind of thing. So it influences mood, stress, and even diseases. So you didn't know that you'd come and learn that you had a second brain and it's in your belly today.
Yeah, I know. But I taught human anatomy and physiology for a bunch of years.
Yeah.
I never taught that.
Yeah. So. You really swing and a miss.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Exactly.
This is like Adorable Red Hats and tidbits, like just fun tidbits of knowledge and wisdom that you never knew that you'd get. So ODP Business Solutions, formerly Office Depot Business Solutions Division, has been a trusted partner for schools for 30 years. At ODP Business Solutions, we're by your side to meet your evolving education needs. Let's talk about what keeps Ruckus Makers up at night. Creating engaging learning spaces while juggling budgets, safety protocols, and those endless supply lists. Here's the game changer. ODP Business Solutions helps you tackle it all. We're not just another vendor, we're your strategic partner in transformation. Want to turn a tired computer lab into a STEAM innovation center? We'll help design it. Need to keep 8 schools stocked and spotless? We've got sustainable solutions that scale. Looking to upgrade from whiteboards to interactive displays? We'll guide you through the entire process. And the best part, you can get it all from a single supplier. That helps you simplify ordering and streamline budgeting while staying compliant with easy access to cooperative contracts. However you want to advance, ODP Business Solutions has 30 years of experience helping districts like yours get ahead. Visit odpbusiness.com/education to learn more. That's odpbusiness.com/education. As educators, we've all seen it. That bright student who checks out of math or science because they feel it's just not for them. Play Piper is here to change that. With award-winning STEM kits and coding curriculum, students move from passive learning to active building. They see how creativity, problem solving, and innovation all come together, and they love it. If you're looking to bring more engagement into your classroom, discover how Piper supports teachers and empowers students at playpiper.com. Again, that's playpiper.com to learn more. Teachers love the support that IXL provides in the classroom, and Ruckus Makers love it all as well, because IXL also gives school leaders meaningful insights on every level. Put your finger on the pulse of student performance with IXL and its dashboard to drill down to see progress and growth for individual students. You can even customize reports to hone in on the information that matters most to you. IXL helps Ruckus Makers make data-informed decisions that will benefit their students' growth goals. Get started today at ixl.com/leaders. That's ixl.com/leaders. But it's good to see you, man. I'm glad the book's coming out in March. We talked about clutter, declutter. Is there anything else you want to cover in today's show? Or anything you want to ask me that you think would be beneficial for the audience, right? I think this is the first show we're doing with red hats, both wearing red hats too, which is pretty awesome.
I finally remembered, but it was because I was going to wear my Packer scarf.
Okay. You wanted the whole cozy, like warm theme.
Yeah.
Do they still pay fans to wear those? Because like most sane, normal people like actually wouldn't purchase something that ugly.
You're crazy. This is not ugly. This is actually from Green Bay too.
I know you brought your father, right? And was it brother or something? Like there was
my dad and my dad and my brother. I always watched a little bit of football, but in the last few years I've really kind of learned to appreciate the game and enjoy watching it a lot more. But my family are like dyed-in-the-wool Packer fans. So as a gift, I surprised them. And they've been talking about going to Lambeau since I can remember.
Yeah. And, well, Tom Brady said last night that that's like the Taj Mahal of football. So that's kind of cool.
I mean, even if you're not a Packers fan, you got to go to Lambeau. It's just the whole experience is pretty incredible. Yeah. But I do have a question for you. And I mentioned it when we were speaking with Jessica, but I think you're coaching and working alongside our friend Danny.
Oh, yeah.
And
right.
That really, his email, that he sends out a weekly email on Sundays. And that
Shout out Danny Steele. Yeah.
Danny Steele. I mean, just the idea for leaders. I don't know if there's a more important thing to pause and do. And with some accuracy, like it should be 100%. Get a pulse on, do kids have at least one person? Because Deborah Meyer, I quote Deborah Meyer in my first book a couple of times. I love her work in New York City. And she said it's well documented that kids can go through 4 years of high school, 4 years on the same campus, never being known by an adult.
Oh, man.
And that's, you think about that. And to Danny's approach, like how easy is it to just say, hey, write down one teacher. Like now that I'm thinking about it, because I said it was anonymous, it couldn't have been because they followed up not overtly with these kids, but the 37 kids that were like, I don't have anybody. They just, nobody. And there was no shame in writing that. They said, hey, if you can think of one person, then if you can't, just say nobody. And then the staff adopted kids. And they didn't go up and be like, hey, you want to have lunch with me? That kind of thing. But they made a point to
Yeah.
make sure it was 100%. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I love
You've worked with, bazillion leaders over a lot of years. I'd love to hear you talk about that.
I mean, it is an important activity. I've heard of other principals that have done that, and then they bring it to the staff and have them guess, right? Like sort of like, how many kids might have picked you, or who might you have picked, and because it shows like an incongruence, right? Because a lot of times the way we see reality and the way it is in reality is like totally different.
Yeah.
And it's good to kind of shake up the staff at times around that. In the fact that we know that students need a caring adult on campus to like thrive there, right? And to do well as a student. When you find that you have 37 kids, which is not a number to sneeze at, like you shouldn't even be happy if one kid says they're not right connected. And depending on the school, it might be, even more than 37. But gosh, like really? There's a kid that they don't feel connected to any adult on campus. That is insane.
And his
That's
was a
kinda like-
sixth grade school. I mean, these are younger. Not that I'm making a excuse for older kids, but we are a little bit more independent. Maybe have connections with sport or different things outside of school. But
Still like a coach or like maybe a club, like even the high school kids should have somebody to connect to. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to go to, when I was at Brooks College Prep, I started a tradition where, every school has staff member of the month type. Many schools do, not every, but like most of them do. And I always like to think about like, what's something that we kind of do and it seems good, and how do I improve it? So then I go into the Ruckus Maker laboratory and dream about it. And what I did with staff of the month, I made it a survey that went out to staff, students, and parents, number one, right? So everybody in the community that wanted to vote has a vote. Number two,
that's cool.
I included all staff. So not just teachers. That's a rookie, well, sometimes a veteran. This is a mistake that Play It Safe principals definitely make. Ruckus Makers, they don't make this mistake. But they only put teachers. They're always thinking teachers, and not counselors. And then main office staff, custodial staff, cafeteria, bus drivers. I'm talking about everybody, right?
Yeah.
So all the names of adults that worked with children, they were on that survey. And then the survey said, who do you want to nominate, right? Who'd you pick? What core value are they living out, right? So now I'm connecting it to like the purpose and how we want to show up as a campus. Tell me a quick story about them living that out. Like, why are you writing it this month? So now we have a little bit of a narrative, and then just an open space. Anything else you want us to know about this individual, right? So that's already deeper, better than 99% of schools, right? Wouldn't you agree? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So then we vote, we get in all our nominations, and then I did a few other cool things that listeners can steal, and they should. I paid my mom, who was retired, right? Because I didn't want to do the work. So here's the spreadsheet. Here's all the data. Take that data and make like a nice little certificate. Mom, I'll print them at the school, or actually Danny won't print them. The admin assistant will print them, but right? So now certificates are being made. Everybody that was nominated got a certificate that like talked about you lived out this value. You were nominated by this parent, this student, or this colleague of yours. And it was printed on nice paper. Those started going up all over in the office or on like cork boards like that's behind me. And then the culture team, they would vote, right? So they would vote on like who the winner was. And then that person, they got their name actually engraved on this beautiful plaque. And then we showed up in their classroom or their office playing music, and with a massive Great America pink gorilla, right? Like they knew if that pink gorilla was in their space, they were the winner that month. And we came in singing and dancing and just being silly.
With the kids
generally.
There, like you'd interrupt the lesson or whatever?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And then like homeroom in the beginning of the day. But that's how we sort of announced it. But it was cool because everybody that had an impact, even if they didn't win, they felt like a winner because they got really meaningful feedback from the community, right? Mm-hmm. So that worked wonders and was really touching for the people who received it. And there were some teachers who never got a certificate. It's a little bit of a wake-up call because all your colleagues,
without having to be told anything, right? Like, hey.
Yeah, I didn't say you suck. Like you're not connecting with kids. You know what I mean? You don't have any relationships. You don't communicate with parents. Like you're generally terrible, obnoxious, horrible human being. Like, I didn't have to say any of that. But the absence of any kind of nomination, because again, colleagues, students, parents, everybody in the community could nominate. And most people got multiple certificates each month. And there were teachers who got none. What are you doing with your life? Like, you're in a school and you haven't, nobody can nominate you. That's pretty bad. So that was some sort of like gentle, I don't know if it was gentle. It was nice. It was nice. It was a nice wake up call for them to receive that I, again, didn't have to say. Right.
Yeah.
And so really interesting how that played
I
out.
heard that a similar approach, different way of going about it. It was either a PD or a staff meeting.
Yeah.
And before the meeting, leadership had the name and picture of every kid on campus printed on a piece of paper and put up around the room where they were reading, all the kids on campus. And then the staff, again, and whole community, ideally here, would walk around, no other task than to put a sticky dot on a student that you have a connection with. Just a quick, walk through. And in the end, and there was other takeaways from it, but they had a big, and this wasn't done in response to this big fight they had in the parking lot like the week before. But what the principal noted is that the kids who were engaged in this fight, and it was like a lot of them, like 6 or 7 kids were in a fight. Not one of them had a sticker on their picture.
How about that?
Like, these kids are just floating through here. And however you go about trying to figure that out, and I think I've not been a school leader, but as a teacher, and it having its own relentlessness, especially as a high school teacher, trying to figure out, like, how do I get feedback? How do I know the kids in the room? And there's so many of them, and it's moving so fast. And that's where you mentioned this with Jessica too. I think routines,
that made
systems
sense.
come into place where if it's just like her ABCDE, once you have a system in place that's a predictable routine, and kids can rely on it, and we could talk forever just about that. But if part of that routine is the feedback, I think it was her B, like being known, like
Yep.
So how do I know these kids in the room so that I can put a dot on all 170 of my kids, because I feel like I know your grandmother's recipe, or you play badminton, whatever it might be, some point of connection that when I see you, hey, how was badminton? What's going on? Tell me a story about it, so.
That's such an important point. And that's what's wild, is because there's a confusion in education that, like, the business of school obviously is like helping students be in a position where their future is bright, have as many doors open versus closed, as possible. And there's some stuff around that with like learning and testing and, what you're able to do, but that's not the only thing. And when you create space, even if it's a classroom circle, and just having just a little bit of time where you can talk like a human being, right? And not get into just like only the work, that's really important. And those teachers who get it, ironically, get more of the work done usually, right? And their kids are doing better on the assessments and that kind of stuff. But it's not like skill and drill all the time, right? And 5-minute, I don't know, where every minute is accounted for, and like teach like
minute
a champion.
To minute,
like
yeah.
No, I'm not saying waste time. I'm saying build community, build relationships, right? I'm certainly not saying roll in a VHS tape thing if they still got that stuff, right? Like, that's call back to the old days. But you know what I mean? And throwing on a YouTube or whatever. Like, no, like, get to know your kids, have some real conversations, especially because you don't know what's going on at home.
If you're rolling in a tube TV that you rented from the media center to put YouTube on, you should do that, because that's pretty dope.
That would be dope, wouldn't it?
You wouldn't have a VHS. You'd be streaming YouTube on the tube TV that's on the cart. You used to have to rent those, check them out to be able to show video. That's hilarious. No, I was like,
Yeah, you'd have to wrestle for the slots, right? You have to
I want to
wrestle
show
a
a
veteran,
movie today.
cranky old veteran who wanted that
Yeah.
videotape.
Give me that thing. No, I hear you. I mean, and I always like to say that when you boil what we all do down to its true essence, it's a messy human to human endeavor. And if we could look at it through the motivation lens, like kids are more motivated when they're known and cared for.
Mhm.
Even if the content's
100%.
hard, even if they're struggling, like we could look at a much, all the dimensions and factors in teaching and learning, but it is this kind of messy human to human endeavor. And the educators who get the relationship piece right, like you said, tend to, not always, but tend to see progress and gains in the other areas. So
Yeah. Right on.
anyway,
That feels like a good place to end for today, man. And
cool.
yeah, this was awesome as usual. And I just want to encourage, right, the Ruckus Maker checking out this content, write in hello at
Join us.
adorableredhats.com and join us on the show.
Yeah, and share what you're doing to mix things up, or just join us to hang out and talk.
Yeah, or just to hang out and talk. It's fine. Whatever you want to do. Join us in this messy human endeavor.
That's right.
Hey, Ruckus Maker, thanks again for pressing play. I hope you enjoyed today's episode as much as I enjoyed creating it for you. And before you go, if today's show shifted something in your mind or sparked an idea about how you could do school different, then I think you'd be a great fit for what we call the Ruckus Maker Mastermind. The Mastermind's a private community of innovative school leaders who meet weekly to grow, reflect, and disrupt the status quo. You can create the campus experience your staff and students deserve. Applications are now open, and go to betterleadersbetterschools.com/apply to put your application in.